I'm trying to reach 80% completion, and today we are so back with more of my forgotten games that I never platinumed or 100%ed. Starting off at 76.6% because I opened quite a few games for other videos in between, but continuing with a game near the very bottom of my trophy list I first started in 2012 on the PS3 and never even finished the story for, Batman Arkham Asylum. This was a game I vaguely remembered a cutscene for, but had no recollection of ever playing. But I had popped 8 of the 48 trophies, with most of them being story related. Unfortunately, my save file from then has poofed away, but I needed to start a new save on the hardest difficulty anyway. This was to get the trophy for beating it on that difficulty, and would have to keep an eye out for missable trophies and the many Riddler collectibles around the map. I never played any of the famous Arkham games, so this was really exciting because, like I've said before, Batman is the only superhero I can really get into, just because he's cool and doesn't really have any superpowers, I guess. So I was quickly introduced to the many Batman villains that often have incredibly goofy names. I would have popped a trophy or two in the opening section where the Joker has escaped and let hell loose on the Arkham Asylum, but popped those in April of 2012, so it wasn't until I got past Scarecrow in this 2009 incredible gameplay sequence that I popped a trophy. Not gonna lie, it took me some adjusting to get here, because the enemies in this game are much stronger than I was expecting. I get it, it's a 6 out of 10, it won't be a road bustle, but without health regen, enemies that seem to have infinite health, spot me from the wildest angles, and also do insane amounts of damage, this ancient PS3 game was beating my fat ass hard. Just how I like. Yet the worst thing about that was that I still had the famous combat challenges to go after completing the story, which were supposedly even harder. However, just moments after the Scarecrow fight, I ran into Tom Mr. Bane Hardy, who was already pretty tough. I didn't know how to play around him, and it took me a few attempts before I finally beat him. By now, I realized that the game isn't the city open world that I thought I was getting into, but just, well, the Arkham Asylum. That was a small open map based around the asylum. But seeing this with little to no loading screens, crispy combat, and a pretty game that holds up well to this day must have been insane back when it launched some 16 years ago. But the combat was really getting to me because I struggled at pretty much every encounter with more than 4 enemies. Having to do such precise inputs was really tough because I never play fighting games or anything with as sophisticated combat as this. What kind of fucking professional button masher do you have to be to do this? One thing's for certain, I am never doing the other games because I have heard combination combat things about that I will never attempt after experiencing this. Okay, that might be cap because those games look peak, but let me know if you've played them and if it's any easier than this because I'm kinda scared. I bump into absolutely would I can fix her Harley the Queen and then cheese my way around the 6 to 7 goons that she spawned. I beat them and eventually lock her up. This was also the area from one of the hardest combat challenges, so just wait until you see that. I kept my eyes open for more Riddler collectibles everywhere I went and had already found 25% of them. I also thought I knew Batman pretty well, but I had no clue Alice in Wonderland is canon and the inspiration of a few villains, so apparently nobody really knows Batman, I guess. A few boss fights later, I struggled with yet another encounter, but got past it before this happened. Is this meant to happen? That was meant to happen? Holy shit, dude, I thought my game crashed. What the fuck? What the fuck? Yeah, this game's pretty cool. Difficult, but cool. What? How on earth are you meant to know that that's not a cutscene? It's not a cutscene. What? What? This game. What? What in the multiverse weird ass shit is going on, dude? What? This game, dude? What the fuck? No clue what's going on, but loving the experience. I end up in another Scarecrow fight and got caught about 20 times because of my lack of patience. This is also how I imagined the original God of War games play, so I really still need to play those, but I got past the scary crow with no fear to pop a trophy. I unlocked some more bat abilities before slowly creeping towards the end of the story. However, I run into this encounter with titans and a lot of goons that felt like yet another impossible fight. My combos never got over 10x and I just couldn't get the timing and precision right. Well, until I got on the back of this titan and got 2 trophies, including one for a 20x combo that felt like I cheesed it, but after 45 minutes of trying the same encounter over and over, not realizing this was just a warm-up for the later combat challenges, I managed to get past and make my way to the Poison Ivy fight. I had read that this was one of the hardest boss fights in the game, but for me she was probably the easiest as I defeated her in just 2 attempts. I got the first missable trophy back when I played the game in 2012, but still had one remaining at the very end of the game, and that's where I was headed next. I had to knock out these 4 enemies at the front of the party, but also the 16 inside this narrow corridor. That once again felt impossible because my combat skills were just not built for this. However, with some persistence of that glorious trophy hunter mindset, I pushed through and managed to get that missable trophy out of the way after only like 5 tries or so. No idea how I did that, but it felt very satisfying to pull off, and it allowed me to progress to the final fight. The Joker spawned some more titans and goons and I had to take those out first. However, after obviously failing to beat it in the first few attempts, I magically popped the platinum trophy already.
Looks like I already got it. Dude, I wish I got it, bro. What the fuck is this fight?
These titans were the perfect way to get high combos, and I got the 40x combo that way before finally beating all the enemies and moving on to the real final fight. We see the titan hulked up Joker voiced by Luke Skywalker, and I was preparing for the toughest fight yet. He spawned waves of enemies, but with me getting better at the combat now, this became surprisingly easy, and I beat him up in just my 2nd attempt.
What the fuck?
I'd still have a few things to do before I pop my 4th PS3 Platinum, including all the collectibles, miscellaneous trophies, but of course also the combat challenges. I'd have to find all the collectibles first to unlock those anyway, so I started with that. The Riddler collectibles came in the form of trophies, riddles, and other unique ways that were often pretty well hidden. The Riddler aspect made it just a little more fun, because what takes hours to find, with secrets confined, only when all are uncovered will perfection be mined. Well, 240 collectibles spread across the map. Listening to some Boron and their club of gore to get into the noir vibe and find each whilst flying over 100 meters for a trophy in between, before finally stumbling across the final collectible. That meant it was time for the dreaded combat challenges. I knew that the other 2 Arkham games were notorious for those, but I didn't realize they were the exact same here. I have to beat the highest score for all the batarangs on each level, both on the normal version and the extreme more harder version. But after my first attempt on the easiest out of them all, I didn't even achieve the easiest score. I really needed to start getting long consistent combos to maximize my points, but I would always screw up, whether it was because of a missed input, an unpredictable enemy, or just the game not doing what I wanted it to do. It made getting a high score very hard. Luckily, I found out that I could keep a combo going if I evaded, and that would carry on infinitely, so that really helped keep it going. Doing so whilst mixing up the attacks for different variations meant that after an hour and 15 minutes, I had finally beaten the easiest one. I was finally slowly understanding how to play this game and get high combos, which made it go easier and slightly more consistent. Still very tough, but at least it didn't feel impossible anymore. Well, that was until I reached the shock and awe level, because holy bang, I hadn't experienced something like that in a long while. The difference to the other levels is that you have to beat all the enemies before the timer runs out. To be honest, the normal variant was pretty simple and I didn't really struggle with it, but on extreme, it was so insane. There were always too many enemies in such short amount of time, and in the tiny arena I was getting hit all the time, ruining my combos and score. Well, actually getting the 30,000 score needed wasn't really the issue, but finishing all the enemies before the timer ran out was so incredibly hard. This game is fucking testing my patience to a whole new level. 6 out of 10 my ass, dude. Returnal was a 6 out of 10. Piss easy. Titanfall's a 6 out of 10, if not higher. Piss easy. This game should be a fucking 8, dude. I'm not even joking. Like, this is so insanely difficult. Taking damage by literally walking into him. I mean, holy fucking shit. What the fuck? I came back after I ate some fried chicken to cheer me up, read some Reddit threads for tips, turned on some Metallica, and got to 30,000 points on the final round. Please. Please, 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 please. I mean, look at the fucking points I'm getting. No. Okay. Well, that's GG. And then I beat it and I don't get enough points. That is unbelievable. Fuck off. That is just insulting, that. Maybe. Just maybe. I don't think so. Please. Oh my god, it's just pissing me off. I'm like literally 2 seconds off. I don't know how to do this. Wait, maybe, no, please tell me I got 1500. Please, please, please.
So you win again. It's a shame that while you've been fighting, I've had everyone you love brutally murdered.
There's still so many. They just never end. It just never ends, dude. 5 seconds more. It's all I need. It's the start of the round every single time, dude. Again, I make it on the rounds that I don't get points. It doesn't make sense. I'm like, oh, just see it through to practice, and it's always the ones that I then make, dude. Unbelievable. Believable, actually. Very, very believable. Oh my god. Dude! I can't fucking take this last level. I can't take it. It just, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Usually, it does. Most of the time, it doesn't. Does it make sense? No, that's the point. But after literally 4 hours of non-stop playing this level, ever so slowly improving, but always struggling, I got to the final round with more than enough points. Oh my god.
Much bigger plan for you.
Heart rate. What else do I need to say? With the most insane challenges out of the way, I did the stealth challenges next, and those were really easy. Especially if I watched a video on how to complete it perfectly, and I got most, if not all, in my first attempt. They were fun and really reminded me of the Spider-Man games, so maybe there's some inspiration there. I finished the final one and got all 3 batarangs to get the trophy for finishing all those and the beautiful 100% game completion. However, I still had 2 miscellaneous trophies remaining, so I loaded back in to make a tied up enemy drop onto another, although that didn't exactly go to plan first try. Oh, that didn't work. It did work! What? How did that work? Okay, well, final trophy time. What? I'm gonna go back to the main story and see if we can boomerang, batarang, frisbee style whack this thing around. Let me turn off Slipknot, bro. Alright, this is actually a perfect spot, isn't it? In front of the medical, we've got Metropolis over there. Alright, let me see if we can do this. Well, that's the wrong batarang, so that doesn't make things any easier. Alright, come on. This thing looks sick. Oh wait, I'm way too high. Wait, oh my god, do it in style. Do it in style. Yes, it worked. That cool. Yes, let's go, bro. Fire. Fire Platinum. Never expected to play this in big old 2025, bro. That was a lot more difficult than I was expecting. What a phenomenal, what is that, 13-year cleanup? We love to see it. My longest cleanup platinum so far, but there's a few others I played even earlier, so let me know which one of those I should clean up next. But for the next game I wanted to 100%, yes 100% and not platinum because this one doesn't have one, is a game I honestly didn't have much excitement going into, but it seemed like a pretty easy cleanup, and that was Doki-Doki Universe. I have no idea why I even booted up this game for 10 minutes and popped one trophy for it back in 2014, but probably because I tried everything that came free to PlayStation Plus because I was a broke young teenage gamer. It has a pretty simple trophy list, so I figured I might as well get this out of the way now. It's a weird 2D hand-drawn game, and its cute artsy style set this apart from most other games on my trophy list. We learn about the world, behavior and personality of myself by answering questions and completing quests, which is basically the entire gameplay loop needed for the 100%, as I needed to complete every quest on every planet and finish 25 quizzes about my personality with a few other trophies mixed in. It gave me very Concrete Genie vibes with the innocence and message of the game, and I popped a trophy for reading an email. Also for completing specific quests, and I don't know why those in particular, but I'll take any trophy. The 25 quizzes I needed to complete got boring after the first 3, so I kinda just spammed my way through those because I don't need Doki-Doki to tell me I'm an introverted, antisocial, autistic loner. So after 25 of those, I popped that trophy, and find out I'm a feisty kitten. Completing more quests on all planets and finding the game's consumables that functioned as collectibles in Little Big Planet style, I decided to play this on my portal because this felt like the perfect game for it, and popped some trophies there as well. The game felt very early PS4 lifecycle vibes, and it really brought back that feeling. I shook my controller to create an earthquake for 30 characters, and finally completed the last quest to arrive at the final planet where I finished the dialogue to wrap up the odd cute story and pop the final trophy. Thankfully the game didn't overstay its welcome, and I got a beautiful 11-year cleanup added to the collection. After that, it was time for a game that I platinumed back in 2023, popped 6 out of 10 trophies in the DLC for, but never finished because the DLC came out on the exact same day as when I platinumed it, and I just didn't want to spend any more time with this game, because although a cool setting, Ghostwire Tokyo had way too many collectibles and I was just burnt out on the game. So now is the perfect time to come back and collect the remaining 4 trophies in the Spider Thread DLC. There's 4 trophies in 2 sections. 2 were in the newly added roguelike endless game mode Spider Thread, but 2 more easy trophies were in the base game that I already did most of the work for. I tackled these first, where I did 25 photo mode collectibles all around the very cool city of Tokyo that is also a city I really want to visit one day, Konnichiwa Uwu. But these photo collectibles low-key were kinda pain because I had to reload the collectibles every 3 or 4 because, well, I have no clue why. I actually don't know why you would lock this behind progression, but okay. But also because once again I was completely lost at the beginning when I had to fend off enemies at every location and try to remember which button does what, and what's even possible in these games. It didn't take too long thankfully, and I got the trophy after completing the quest, but maybe I'm being a bit of a drama queen here, but what I notice about this cleanup series is that games don't do a good job at welcoming a player back that hasn't played in a while. Like a simple welcome back tutorial to get familiar with the mechanics and controls or something, I don't know, maybe that would help a ton. Let me know if you agree or if I just need to get good. Next up, I wanted to unlock the remaining new skills that were added. These can be obtained by finding yokai and KK note collectibles that are hidden around the map. They aren't too hard to find, especially with the floating guide tracker that I had, but it still took me far longer because some of these were really annoying to reach. However, after finding all the ones on the entire Tokyo map, I didn't have enough to get the last skill point. So I scoured the internet to find a solution, PSN profiles, Reddit, YouTube vids, but nothing worked because I found every single one that was mentioned there. Until I remembered how I got the platinum. There was an equivalent collectible I needed for something that I don't remember exactly what, but it was locked behind the last quest in the game. I knew that if there was one here and I needed it just for a trophy, I would simply grab it, pop the trophy and quit the quest. No saving or finishing checkpoint, and that's exactly what I did back then. The same collectible that I already got but never saved was waiting for me at the same spot, and after picking that up, allowed me to pop the final skill point and its trophy.
Finally,
W, bro. I can't believe I forgot about this one. What the fuck? That allowed me to start the butter and bread of this DLC with the Spider's Thread, an infinite roguelike game mode where you advance each floor after completing the objective. Sometimes you have to kill all enemies, sometimes just make it to the end. I'd done exactly one level of this 2 years ago, but confirmed my dip after realizing there are RNG collectibles. Yep, every trophy hunter's worst nightmare, this has 20 cats and 20 yokai to find that spawn on specific but random floors. My first run I died on just the second floor already, and I would have to reach the 30th floor not once, but twice. First for a trophy, but a second time for one of the 89 challenges. These are for things like defeating certain enemies, finding all those RNG collectibles, or simply progression, so this was going to eat most of the time. You basically start from scratch with no skill points or abilities and would have to unlock those the further you get, but I was still struggling to understand the general loop. Luckily there was a way to make everything a lot easier once I got enough rectal beads, as the iron beads would allow me to one-shot everything. So that was my main goal to save up for. Luckily I managed to find some cats already early on. Not one, but 2 in a row, which I read was really rare. But then I found another 2 back to back, and finding 4 in one run was apparently impossible, so I was happy to get so many RNG collectibles already. The RNG trophy gods were surely on my side for this one. I was slowly getting further with each attempt, but also getting increasingly frustrated with the combat. Listen, I will glaze and suck a game off if I love it, but bro, when a game is bad, I will not shy away from it. So let me just tell you, the combat here is so unbelievably shit. When that's the only thing I'm doing in this DLC, you better make sure that it's satisfying to play with, but it is anything but that. Sometimes the mechanics wouldn't even work or just simply bug out, and man, the controls, oh fuck me, those are horrendous. No sliders for anything but sensitivity, and the dodge button being L3 in a direction you can't even look towards. Holy balls, did I not like this. Are you out of your mind? I mean, that is the most perfect example of how broken this mechanic is. Once it works, sometimes it doesn't. Fucking combat in this game is so annoying. It's floaty, it's weak, it's just incredibly unsatisfying. How did I take damage? How did I just take damage? I'm tweaking, I need to stop. Whatever, I had luckily reached 40 beads by now and grinded enough optional objectives to reach the required level 50 to unlock the iron beads. It took some time, but I finally was starting to feel like I was getting stronger each run. And once I finally bought those iron beads, I mean, everything just changed. These things one-shot every enemy, but it also meant I was one-shot myself, so I still had to be very careful. However, it was honestly a joke and made it so stupidly easy. I mean, random enemies were like ants I squashed, and boss fights just simply didn't exist anymore. So enemies were no longer a threat, but my own skill and parkour definitely still was. But I blasted through 29 levels that took no effort at all before reaching the final boss fight. That was the same as in the base game for some reason, which was really disappointing, but oh well. This thing again. Was that it? Was it really that ridiculous? Oh my god, it was. Okay, well, this one-shot thing makes things ridiculously easy. Now all I need to do is play through it 15,000 more times to find trophy. To find all the many challenges, cats, and yokai collectibles. Yippee. I'd also done an unintentional no damage run for one of the many challenges still remaining, so I worked on those whilst finding all of the RNG collectibles. I first got to floor 30 again and beat it for the second time for a challenge, but didn't find a single collectible on that entire run, so I was fearing the absolute worst of the RNG gods right now. Luckily, most of the other challenges were simply for running into enemies or also for finding the collectibles, so it didn't take too long before the collectibles themselves were the only thing remaining. I wasn't even getting frustrated with the combat anymore because it simply didn't exist, and I could just sprint through floors so incredibly quickly that I don't know why the devs thought adding this ability was a good thing. Thankfully, I kept notes of which cats I found on which floors, and because certain cats only spawn on certain floors, it made it much easier to find the ones I was missing. With me being able to reload into levels when I didn't find any, it often still took over 15 minutes of reloading before I found the floor I needed. It wasn't the worst thing and not as bad as the one cipher I was missing in Returnal that literally took me hours to find. So this was still pretty easy, but also insanely repetitive. After finding each of the cats and yokai one by one, reloading back and forth, playing through floors to reach the ones I needed, I got the final skill point for a challenge, found the final kawaii neko cat, and needed one last oni yokai to spawn to finally be done with this repetitive, boring grind. Oh, there he is. There he is, good old Oni. It is finally done. Fuck RNG collectibles. Whoever designs RNG collectibles, I hope you step on Lego. Oh, W cleanup. That took way too long. Some boring grinds and a fire cleanup later, I've made a massive 0.6% increase to my completion percentage. Also because I played a few other games in between, like Battlefield 6. So if you want to see me platinum my favorite platinum of the year, then go check out that video. And that's it.